Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast, the voice of bodybuilding. And today's voice is a returning guest. Big Nath joins us. Hello, my friend.
Hello, thank you for having me back on. It's a pleasure.
It's always cool, isn't it, to vibe with people in the space and realize there's some good people in this space.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, yeah. It's great to connect, and I think this is what the industry needs is more of this. So yeah, I'm happy to come back on and you to grill me or whatever you've got planned.
So, of course, today we're going to be talking about essentially becoming a pro and the pro league. But certainly, I know you're going to align with me in regards to being a pro, acting like a pro before you get the pro card. And then, really, I feel like not much of the actual lifestyle is going to change. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, 100%. So I think it is vitally important, and I I express this with quite a few of my clients who they do frustrate me a little bit, which I instill into them that even before you get that pro card, you've got to be acting like a pro. Anybody who, unless you are a genetic elite, I think the process shouldn't change. For me, winning my pro card to becoming a pro, nothing changed at all. I was already acting like a pro. That's when the real work starts. But yeah, I fully agree there.
It is as well. It's like, with bodybuilding in itself, you've got to be doing it for the right reasons, I personally believe, because we can all be told at the gym, you look great, you should step on stage, you're going to be a pro. And as you touched on, genetics do play a part, but it's like when you're then put on stage in front of a panel of judges that don't know your story, that don't know you, maybe they know who you are, but maybe they don't know who you are. And it's like they'll just literally judge what they see on stage. And again, you can sort of get this like, well, I've done all of this to do it, and I've, acted like a pro. Why haven't I got the pro card? Why haven't I won? But it's luck of the draw a lot of the time because it's so subjective.
It is, and I think you touched on a good point there. Is yeah, I've done all this, but why haven't I won? I think becoming a pro and acting like a pro is taking those losses and growing from that and using that as fuel to be better as well moving forward. So I think I think most of us who have got to where we have in the journey, we've all had setbacks and we've all experienced losses, and that's when you find out like what you're made of really. Because do you roll over and do you get your lip? I mean, nobody likes losing, but do you use that loss in the right way to say, right, what do I need to do to be better? Is it, do I need to work on my mindset? Do I need to work on my process? What do I need to work on to be better? And then putting the plans in place and the steps in place to improve. I think if you focus on your own personal progression rather than the destination, and you focus on the journey and you improving, then that's all you can do, and the stars will align if that's what's meant to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely love that sentiment. And alongside this, I was very lucky from the start. My coach was very, very honest with my physique and what I could do. Now, that comes back to managing expectations as coaches in the space, actually selecting what federations you're going to compete with and what you believe as a coach is realistic. Obviously, we can have a transformation and go, fucking hell, maybe we can actually set the sights higher. But always, my coach was like, from the start, the first port of call is to step on stage and actually do a prep, not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
you're going to win every show. And then luckily, he geared me towards the federations that suited my physique. And over the years, I've been able to, go up to being able to do the IFBB two bros route. But that's taken many, many years. And I'm not genetically elite. I don't have any sporting background. It was like, I quite like this thing. Can I do it? So as coaches, that's a big responsibility, right? And I feel like it's so important to be honest from the word go.
Which is some people don't like to hear,
Yeah.
but I would rather if the shoe was on the other foot, and like I say, and you've experienced this with your coach as well. I would rather somebody be honest with me and say, this is where we are now, this is where your physique is now, and this is where I think you are going to be best suited. Now, that's not saying that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, you're not going to progress in a manner that we can look at these goals, but you've got to set small, tangible, realistic goals for where they are at that point in time. It's all right having a I want to be Mr. Olympia. Let's deal with where we're at now. We're quite a way away from that. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that keeps people grounded. And I think if you get a good coach-client relationship and you can be honest with people, that's all I would want from a coach as well. And I think that's where I've been lucky as well with past coaching relationships that they've always been honest with me. So to be fair, my first coach didn't actually say anything to me, so I didn't know, I didn't know where I was like, do I look good? Do I not look good? Like I used to turn up for an in-person check-in and he just used to take the photos and not say anything. I'd be like,
Am I okay?
I used to look at Phoebes and she'd be like, I don't know. Like until I was like 3 days out, right, you ready? I'm like, okay, that's all right. Whereas Josh, on the other hand, he was very honest with me and he never led me to believe that I was any further forward than where I was at that moment in time. And it did say, I do believe with the progress that we're making that one day you could be an IFBB pro and you have got the potential to get your pro card. But currently, this is where we're at. So yeah, I think it's vitally important that you've got that honesty and you set realistic expectations. Definitely.
Because we can all communicate, right? We can say words as coaches, but actually, if you haven't got clarity as the person receiving that, because, again, we see on social media, we see other people getting the IFBB Pro card, doing well, and we sometimes don't maybe see on our feed, the people that don't do so well for so many years. And then you can have these sort of ideas in your mind that you're just going to pursue it and get to that point. And I think something else that's really important, if people can, is to go to shows and actually honestly go, right, these are the people winning. How does my physique look? But again, there can be a bit of a body image, like maybe you think you look better than you do, if you know what I mean. Not
Yeah,
being rude, but
yeah, yeah. So some people can be a little bit deluded. What they see in the mirror is potentially not what's actual reality, but I do think that is a very good point. You need to go and you need to go to shows and experience like the actual level of whatever federation it is that you're going to be pursuing and see where you stack up against people in that sort of class that you're going to be competing in for sure.
and all of this helps your post show as well. I think that you know everyone has difficult times post show. I'm sure you'll agree, like that you never really know what's gonna fucking hit, and you think, holy shit. But if your expectations are in line with what you're hoping to gain from it, I feel like going into a show with an open mind and just being like, I'm gonna fucking slay. I've done what I need to do. Let's have the best time. Let's work on stage again if we're led to believe like, oh, I can just turn up. It's like what's actually going into that mental prep as well to actually step on stage and exhibit your physique to the best of your ability rather than think, oh yeah, I'll just sort of turn up. Are you doing the things that are required to be successful? The posing and all of those stage presence, the little nuggets, the things, and you get it over the years, don't you? You start to think, actually, I could be a bit more. I could work a bit more on stage. I could work on my fitness. I'd be interested to ask you as well with posing fitness as a large male in the sport. I know stories and I've seen people that are fucking gassed because they haven't quite got the stamina as well, which can be quite hard, I believe, for your
Yeah,
category.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, 100%. I mean, I think that comes with experience. The more that you compete, the more you realize what it takes to be a good competitor. It's all right being a good bodybuilder, looking fantastic in the gym, looking great, checking pictures for 2 or 3 seconds in the morning when you're taking the best shots. But when you're getting worked on stage, that's when it really shows who's actually put the graft in to the presentation, to the posing, to their stage presence. And that just comes down to absolute rinse and repeat and practicing. And it takes reps because like I say, it's it's all well and good being a good Instagram bodybuilder or a good gym bodybuilder, but when you're getting worked on stage, that's when it truly matters. And I had a big realization in 2021, because like you say, being a big bodybuilder, posing fitness is a big thing, especially when you're 270, 280 on stage, which I were in 2021. But I knew straight away, like, fuck, like I've not competed for 4 years, and I thought my posing was all right, and then I was like, when I stepped up a level, I was like, shit, actually, there needs to be a lot more work that goes into this. Luckily, that Phoebes is a posing coach, and she she absolutely the year that I won my pro card, she absolutely drilled me because I've always had like a little bit of a I'm a sweaty person, so I used to sweat on stage a lot,
Yeah.
and I think that's probably a little bit of nerves and things like that, but it's also down to posing fitness. Um, and I can remember in 2022, it got to the point where I was running like 12, 13-minute rounds straight through, like without rest. Like it was back to back 3 to 4 rounds, all quarter turns, all mandatories. Didn't even let me take a breather. She's like, right, go again. Right, go again. Right, go again. And I'm like, fuck. And I was absolutely gassed. But it stood me in good stead that in 2022, when I did go for my pro card, when it came to stage, it was the first year that I didn't sweat on stage. I felt composed, I felt confident, and it was like second nature. And I just hit my shots, and I could have posed all day, which I think the judges see that. Like when you make it look effortless, it's a big um, a, a big plus. So yeah, 100%. You will see who's put the effort in.
Yeah, I love second nature because it's building it as a habit, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah,
and if you can get thrown off on stage as well, and if you do, if it is second nature, if it is a habit, you sort of just know what to do, and if you do start to get tired, maybe the show's running late, this type of stuff that is real in the bodybuilding space. I'm sure Phoebe would agree. In the amateur realms, when you're bikini, you're on like dead last, and
yeah,
you're like fucking hell. And there's things that can change on the day. Again, I think, professional mindset. It's like, yeah, it gets a bit annoying if you're running late and you've got to do your food and all of this, and it can be a bit. But I see people fucking kicking off big time, and that shows, why is it running late? All of this stuff, and you start getting pissed off, and it sort of takes away from let's just try and stay in our lane, agree with what they're saying, do your best because also you said obviously about stage presence when the judges see it. Be a good sportsman if you can outside of stage as well, backstage, be nice to the people that are there normally out of their own time, not making any money to help you backstage and stuff as well. And I feel like that just it you I feel like you hit different. You're there as a
yeah,
professional person.
yeah, yeah, 100%. I've always given a lot of time and effort. I've always given my time and effort to people backstage, the people who tan you, the people who put your glaze on, the sort of backstage coordinators who are telling people to get ready. They can't help it if the show's running late. Like, and I see people getting pissed off at them and just being arrogant and like abusive, and I'm thinking like they're just doing the job. They can't help it. Just like be polite, be kind. Like it is what it is. You've got to expect it now. When you go to any show, you've got to expect for things not to run smoothly. So if you let it stress you out and you let it sort of disrupt your process of getting on stage, and it takes away from the enjoyment, you'll cause yourself stress that you don't need to. You just need to, like you say, stay in your lane, keep focused. You're on stage when you're on stage, and you just got to go and do your thing.
Because we can forget that just getting stressed is not actually helping anything.
Yeah,
It's not going to make them say, right, you go on stage now then because you're a bit stressed. It is as well. It's like the stress impacting the body. And actually, are you utilizing the food as you could? Are you going to be ready when they call your name? Are you even enjoying the day? Like,
yeah,
actually, all of this preparation and the off season, the years that go into this day, and it's like, come on, guys, let's just fucking have it.
yeah. Try and be in the moment. Like just just chill and just try and enjoy it as best you can.
Mm. Now, I must ask you, how did it feel when you won your pro card?
Do you know what? It's weird because I've just spoke about this I've done a podcast this morning, my podcast, and something came up, crazy prep stories. Like, have you got any crazy prep stories? And the day that I won my pro card, and I don't think it even sunk in, I don't think I even realized it was very hard to take in for like 2 to 3 months.
Oh.
One, because and it's a bit of a mental story because so the day I won my pro card, my mum phoned me. Well, we were in Italy. My granddad had took really ill while I was there, and she was like, "I'm so sorry to call you, but I just want to let you know that it doesn't look good, and he's probably not got long." Like I didn't know whether to call you or not, and I was like, so that was like quite a stressful thing. So I had that on my mind. So when I won my pro card, it was amazing. Like you get this rush of emotions, but you kind of don't know what to like do with them. And like they asked me straight away, "Are you going to do the pro show tomorrow?" And I'm like trying to just take in what just happened. I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do the pro show tomorrow." I literally got off stage. I got a phone call from my mum again. Our dog and my mum and dad's dogs were in kennels for 5 days. My mum was because we'd flown to Austria for a week. We'd competed in Austria and then we'd gone straight from Austria to Italy. So we were away for 2 weeks. My mum and dad was looking after the dog, uh, but they have a dog as well, and they was away for like 4 or 5 days overlapping while we were away. So I put them in kennels. The dogs got stolen from the kennels while we were away.
No.
So I'd literally just got off stage and then found out that as my dog had been stolen.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so my granddad's on his deathbed. My dog's been stolen, and I just won my pro card. So I'm trying to take this in. I'm like, so I'm in tears. Like, I just completely forgot about what had just happened. Like that, my pro card doesn't even matter at this moment in time. I'm trying to like just process this. The following day, Phoebe competed in the morning on the Sunday in the pro qualifier, and I was competing in the evening. So I'm trying to like get my head around like what's happening. Obviously, explain to Cal what had happened. You're like, right, just try and keep calm. There's nothing you can do while you're away. But obviously, I've got all this built up sort of stress and emotion, like well, I didn't know what to deal with. On top of that, you'll never fucking believe this. On top of that, um, I got a phone call at about 1:30 in the morning, woke me up. The Airbnb that we were staying in, the buzzer was going off on the intercom. My phone's ringing. I'm thinking, what the fuck's going off here? Picks my phone up. It's an Italian woman who speaks like broken English, the Airbnb host. The police are outside your Airbnb. You need to go outside now. So gets out of bed. I've got my pants on, flip flops, go downstairs. The police are outside. His rental car had been broken into outside the property.
For fuck's sake, what?
Yeah, the police obviously didn't speak great English, but enough to like follow me, follow me. I'm walking down this road in Italy. We come to like this park, and they'd got a man in handcuffs in this park. They'd arrested a man, and they were like, "Is this your property? What we found on him?" And it was. He'd got a pair of my Ray-Ban sunglasses, like an iPhone charger, probably about €20, what like in change in the tray. There was nothing much else in the car because like I took everything out. But like, yeah, they're like, "We need a statement. We need you. Can you come down to the station?" And I'm like, "I'm fucking, I'm not really, no, but it's fucking." At this point, I'd been with him like an hour and a half. I'm like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm competing in the morning. My partner at the time, my partner's competing. Like, what do you want from me? So I'm having to write this statement out. He's asking me loads of questions. I probably got back in bed about 4:45. Got to get up at 6 because Phoebe's just competing. She's on stage at like 9 o'clock. So I had zero sleep. I've got this stress going on from the dogs. I'm trying to concentrate on me potentially doing my pro day. I don't know how I got on stage, to be honest with you. Uh, and obviously, I got on stage. When I was backstage pumping up for my pro debut, because I'd only registered the night before, the guy was like reading all the numbers and names out. I was the last one. They just wrote it in. They'd spelt my name wrong. They'd got my number wrong. I'm like, well. I'm definitely not going to Olympia. Like, I'm like, no, that's not me. Like, this is like, so I was just thinking, oh, this is just a shit show. I should have just not gone on stage, but I did, and it was an experience. But like to try and process that weekend, I just couldn't, and I'll be honest, I just wanted to get home and figure out what we're going off with my granddad, what had gone off with the dogs, like so. It was a bit of a whirlwind. So when people ask me what was it like to win your pro card, I can't even really remember because I was in such a fucking stress state. I think it probably took me a couple of months to like take it in, and then I didn't even look at the pictures or the videos or anything from my pro card win or my pro show for. Do you know what? For about 12 weeks, I didn't really look at them. But then after, and I could like take it in, I did get like a little bit emotional. Like, do you know what? I fucking worked hard for that. And I did manage to like take it in and enjoy it in some way. But yeah, it was a bit of a mental weekend, which, like you say, anything can happen in bodybuilding. So it was a strange one, but it was definitely an experience that um, allowed me to grow and realize that anything can happen on the day. So you can't really things that happen now. I'm just very, very laid back because like what's the worst that can happen? Oh, my fucking tan's not right, or show's running 20 minutes behind. It like yeah, it don't really matter.
Yeah, it does. I feel like these type of scenarios in life and in bodybuilding, for that example, it teaches you that life's hard, but
Yeah,
you can accept that. I heard this once. Life's hard, but if you realize that, it's actually a bit easier.
yeah,
Because you never really know. And I feel like this is again, attributing to the mindset of it's hard if you haven't been through certain examples in your life where it's potentially traumatic or things happen that are out of your control. It's hard to sometimes have context, but bodybuilding really is a privilege and it is a choice. And examples like you've said there on a show weekend, we can have these things in a prep, right? Like I remember when I lost my granddad, and it in an inadvertent way it motivated me more because I was like, I really want to do him proud. And when things
yeah.
have happened, in a prep, and I've like, broken my arm and shit like that. And I'm like, nope, I'm gonna keep going. And you learn along the way as to, as you said, anything can happen in all of these phases, can't they?
Of course they can. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So it's just a test of your character, really, and then you can sort of see what you're actually made of.
Especially when you're depleted down, ready for a show, and
Oh
then
God. Yeah, it was a mad one.
do you find that Phoebe's quite a calming force for you in these scenarios, or?
Honestly, I think if you ever had a show weekend with Phoebe, you would realize she's literally like she's just got this calming presence about her, and everybody. She's had so many comments from people who she's competed with, like when she's backstage, and she says like, I don't know why girls are like running about, flapping about all the time. Like they're just so like panicky and stressed, and I think she's got this aura about her that keeps people calm. Like yeah. So she's which has rubbed off on me. Like I probably used to be a little bit more stressy about things, but now I'm just like, if Phoebes can be this chilled out, she's honestly she's excellent to have on a show weekend. Like she's so chilled.
Mm. I bet it's a pleasure to coach her as well in that regard.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. Yeah, she's very chilled. I mean, she'll tell me she. She'll tell me exactly how she's feeling, and but she's so relaxed about stuff.
Mm.
So yeah, it's sometimes that's actually quite difficult as well because she's that relaxed. I might give me a little bit more. Yeah, so,
Everything's fine.
yeah, everything's fine. Yeah.
Now, with her going through the pro league and you coaching her, it'd be interested to talk about the bikini category because seeing, what's going on in the category and seeing Arnold's at the weekend, that was quite interesting because I feel like almost, and I don't know if I'm sure you've looked at it, but I was like, we're almost verging on the muscle of not wellness, obviously, but there was quite a look to the physiques where I thought, wow, the bikini category is looking very muscular now. I don't know if you agree with me there.
Yeah, that's probably the reason why they brought this fit model class in, because bikini is now at a level where it's developed that much that you kind of expect that look. And I think there was, if you remember over this last couple of years, especially in the IFBB, they've been sort of saying we want a bit of a softer look. We don't want sort of striated glutes or separation in the hamstrings, and we don't want hard etched abs. And it's just not really been going that way, which I think has confused a lot of people, especially when you go from a European circuit to an American circuit, and the judging's a little bit different. I just don't think that there was never going to get the bikini category to take a step backwards. It's hard when a certain level of condition has been achieved and been rewarded to
Mm.
then say, we don't actually want this anymore. We want you to be softer. So I don't think that that was going to happen. So I think it's probably been why they've had the hand forced a little bit into this fit model class. I mean, when you look at Miss Olympia is Laura Lee, so she's the standard of bikini, and the level of muscle that she holds in her glutes especially, but she's just got a certain look, like it's still a polished, it's not too hard. She's the standard. So when I look at some of these European shows and the level of muscle that some of these European bikini girls hold and the level of hardness and grainness and detail that they've got, I'm like, it's kind of verging a little bit away
Mm.
from what Miss Olympia is supposed to be, what the bikini standard is. But again, it's very individual. Every physique's kind of different, and I suppose it's how you are going to look in a certain lineup against others on the day. So it's very, yeah, it's probably the most difficult class to judge,
I know.
um, for sure, because just getting that balance right is difficult, and you might feel like you've got that balance right and you've got the look, but it just might not look right in a certain lineup against others. So yeah, it's a tough one, bikini, but it was very interesting. I did have because I think a lot of people counted Ashlyn out, and I was like, she got top six at the Olympia. I think she was fifth at the Olympia, and she might have been fifth or sixth. And I was like, she'll be up there but she's got that hard. She's a little bit of an older, more mature physique, and she's got quite a hard look, but condition for her and the package that she brought got a third. Um, I think Amy has got the bikini look, like, but a, a development in a lower, she's fucking very heavily muscled, and I just think that I think it was probably a little bit overpowering, which is why she didn't take it, because a lot of people were saying that she was going to walk away with it, and I think she was probably a little bit softer as well. But yeah, it was interesting. It always is interesting to see how they judge bikini, because like some days I'm like,
Yeah, I
yeah,
when I looked, and it's nice to be able to see it on Instagram and that, isn't it? And I thought, when they were doing the prejudging and stuff, you're like, oh, where are they gonna tip it? And even from, they say bikini wins from the back a lot of the time, although you're looking for the delt cap and the front pose as well. But when you looked at the top three and the glute development, as you say, first place more of like a defined narrow glute, almost like the glutes have been stuck on. It was,
yeah, yeah,
it was,
yeah,
and it was like they're either going to go for the more muscular and fuller glutes, or they're going to go for that more, I guess,
compact,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And it was like, where are they going to go with that? Because actually, when you look at the top three and the back shot, it was quite a disparity when you're talking
yeah,
about top three.
yeah, yeah. It was quite different. So I suppose it's how obviously as a bikini competitor as well, they are competing a little bit more frequently, so the judges will see them more regularly, so they'll know how they want that girl to look. Like, we want you to bring this. So they're judging them not just against the other girls in the lineup, but judging them on their previous looks. And like, we want you to be a little bit fuller, or we want you to be a little bit sharper. So it's bringing that and then seeing how that stacks up in the lineup as well.
Mm. They did that with Laurelie. I remember they were like, if you can just do these little things. And then obviously she won the Olympia because,
Yeah.
as you say, you're on the circuit and it does have an impact. Again, it's maybe not something if you just get into the sport, you'd really sort of understand or realize until you get to know people in the space and what have you. But it is like bikini, obviously it's less muscled to a certain degree, but now it's more muscled. And it's like, people often see the bikini realm in the female division as like, oh, it's just the entry level. I know fit models here now, but actually it is difficult. Like sometimes it's bikini colors and hairstyles and that stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and the bikini girls train hard. Do you know what I mean? Like the bikini girls that I know, they train hard, and that's just where their physique sort of lands them. Like it's not just fluffy stuff. Like they still go through the same process as what anybody else does, getting on a bodybuilding stage. It's just obviously where their physique is landed and what criteria they're looking for.
For sure. What are Phoebe's plans at the moment? Are you both off season?
So I've got some plans, which is a little bit of a
Is it secret?
no, it's not a secret. I've announced it a little bit on my podcast today, and I did do a story on Instagram the other day. So I'd not got no plans to compete this year. I was going to have a year off. I made that. I was going to potentially compete back into the year, but the start of the year wasn't the start that I wanted. I mean, I've still progressed, and I've not had a bad year by any sort of stretch, but I've had a couple of illnesses. I've been struggling with a little bit of an injury. I had a little bit of a hormonal imbalance due to the cycle that I was on, and things weren't clicking how I wanted them to because I'm very like, right, this is it. And things come up like, and I was just a little bit frustrated.
Mm.
Um, and obviously I'm 38 this year and Phoebe's 30 this year, and we have spoke about family and kids and things about that, like in the near future. So I was like, right, okay, this is where we're at the minute. I know that everything worked when I was in college, but that's fucking 20 years ago. So I need to probably do a fertility test because if there's things that I need to start putting in place now for if we want to start trying for kids next year, then I don't want to leave it to that point to then think, fucking hell, I've got 12, 18 months worth of like recovery that I potentially need to be doing to get myself sorted. And then it might take us another 6, 9, 12 months to conceive. Like it could be another 3 years down the line. And I don't want to be in that position. So I did a fertility test. It wasn't as bad as what I was expecting. I was honestly, I was nervous. I was like, please God, like I hope I'm not infertile, and it comes back, and I'm like, it could be the end of the world because people don't tell you like there's a lot of things to take into consideration when you start your bodybuilding journey, especially if it's an assisted journey, and that's like long term, like fertility implications, and everybody's different. So yeah, it came back, and it wasn't as bad as what I thought, but it still needed quite a bit of work. And I was like, right, I'm not competing this year. So it's probably the right time for me to start putting things into place now. So I've just started as of yesterday slash today a fertility protocol.
Ooh.
Yes. So I've come off all anabolics for the next at least probably 6 to 8 weeks. I'm going to get some blood work done, and then I might need to go back on to TRT because I think doing it testosterone increases sperm production, so I don't think it's a case of I need to do it like naturally and do a PCT, but I will be doing a fertility protocol on very, very low testosterone replacement therapy. And then I'm going to do another fertility test in about 10 weeks just to see what the improvements are. So yeah, over this next sort of 3 to 6 months, the aim is to regain my fertility with the view of potentially starting a family maybe next year. So yeah, that's where I'm at the minute. Now people are like, "Oh yeah, you're retiring." No, I'm not retiring.
Chill out, guys.
Yeah, chill out. I have still got goals and I've still got Um, I've still got an itch to scratch with competing, but for now, like I say, 37, 38 this year. I know that I can come back to it. I think it'll give me a nice, not just a physiological break, but a mental break that I've not got the stress and the pressure of I need to be at this point in my progress by this point because this is when I'm starting prep and I've got a prep to, and oh, I've got this injury. And it put, honestly, within the last sort of 3 or 4 days, I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulder.
I've
Um,
tried this. Mm.
Now, don't get me wrong, it's going to be a different type of journey. My process is not going to change. I'm still doing my cardio. I'm still eating my meals. I'm still prepping my food. I'm still going to be training for progress. I'm just not going to be sort of driving my body weight up and eating 7,000 calories a day at this moment in time because that's just not where I currently am or need to be. So yeah, it's exciting. It's going to be challenging, I think, mentally as well, like just to see how I cope with certain things. But yeah, I feel great about it, to be fair. And I'm actually, yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes and get a little bit fitter, and bring my body weight down a little bit. So yeah, that's where I am at the minute. Phoebes has not made a decision yet on whether we prep this year. Obviously, it's a little bit different for Phoebes because we don't use any assistants at all in an off season. And the blood work always comes back in a good spot, and she puts things in place supplementation wise to make sure everything's where it needs to be. So whether she's going to do a little bit of a diet into probably like August for a little bit of a breakaway for a birthday, and that may result in like a little bit of a diet break for a holiday in August to then potentially go into a prep. So we'll probably do like an 8 to 10 week diet into a holiday, see how she's feeling, see how she's looking. She'll go away for a few days for a birthday, maybe a week, and then we'll make a decision whether she wants to prep for the back end of the year show. We have picked some shows in a timeline that that would coincide with competing the back end of the year, but whether or not she decides to do them or not, we've still not made a decision. But she's 100% made some progress. Like she's made some great progress again. She's training hard, posing's going well. She's actually doing a few different things as well outside bodybuilding, which is good. Like she's started back once or twice a week. She does like a pole dancing class, like pole athletes.
Hey up.
So she's got, yeah,
Love it.
she's got pole in bedroom already. I'm like, yes. I know she's not.
I mean, it is a very good. I've got a friend that does it. It's a very good form of, fitness, but also
Oh yeah, yeah.
flexibility, the stage presence, and things like that. The crossover is great.
Yeah, I mean, she's got a dancing background, so she's literally she did it about 4 or 5 years ago just for a little bit of fitness, but she's gone back to it and she's literally taken to it like a duck to water. They've asked her straight away. She's only been doing it. She's probably been back doing it like 3 or 4 weeks. She's having one like private class and then she's doing a group class per week, and they've asked her to do the show this summer. She's like, "Will you
Right.
do the show?" She was like, "What do you mean?" She was like we really want you to like do do they do like a yearly show. So she's like, I don't feel like I'm ready. She was like, "Trust me, you're good enough to do the show." I'm like, she's like, "I don't want to do it until I'm like really good." So
Yeah.
yeah, she's just anything that she's one of these like she does things and she can just take she like can do anything. Like she's great with stuff like that. So she's enjoying that, which is great for, like you say, they do a lot of stretching, a lot of flexibility, a lot of mobility work. Like her core strength has improved from like holding on to the pole and stuff like that. And she's getting a little bit more. So we've just tailored a training plan a little bit because so she's now only doing upper body like once every probably like 10 days. She's doing like an upper body session because she's doing quite a lot of upper body work in these pole classes now. She
Mm,
probably doesn't need to do one a week or one every 4 or 5 days. So she's just tagging a little bit of delts on or a little bit of lats on here and there, and then she'll do one upper body session like every 10 days.
mm, mm.
So yeah, it's exciting year ahead. But yeah, that's where we both are.
I love that. I'm actually it's wild, really, the coincidence, but I'm doing an 8 week diet at the moment. I'm then going to have a refresh. And then for me, I need to see if I've improved enough because I had major knee surgery in March last year and
Yeah.
I couldn't train. Like, I was in a wheelchair, etc. And
What did you have, Sarah? What did you have done?
so MCL, I had to have a full reconstruction. So meniscus,
Medial, yeah,
MCL.
medial collateral and meniscus.
Yeah, and it was a complex tear. Bodybuilder mode, I just kept walking and it was like this is a bit, annoying. And then it was more than annoying and I couldn't really walk up the stairs. I sort of like hop. Then it was waking me up at night and I'm like, and then I had an MRI and they were like, you've got a complex tear. We don't know how you're walking. We need to do major surgery in 3 days' time. So it was like, holy shit, okay. So that resulted in, 6 weeks of literally hardly any weight bearing and building up. Consequently, my left quad turned into a tea bag because I was like the muscle atrophy. I'm sure you can attest to
Yeah,
what can happen. And for me personally, I don't want to just step on stage. I've done it for 12 years. I need to know I've progressed myself. So I thought, okay, 2 years and 3 months in off season. Let's do an 8 week diet, get back in the groove, see what it feels like. Then see where I'm at after 8 weeks. Do exactly what Phoebe's going to do. Potentially have a holiday, bit of a refeed. And then if I want to either continue a diet just to, then go back into off season or prep. So I really like that you've actually said that because I don't hear of many people being a bit more relaxed around it, and being
yeah,
like,
yeah,
let's see where I'm at in 8, 10 weeks.
yeah, yeah. I think. Do you know what? Like, I've got a few clients who've done that this year, and
Nice.
it's resulting in. So I've got two clients specifically who they competed last year or the year before. This year, one of them's getting married, and one of them's going on holiday, and they're like, "I want to do a diet, one for my wedding, and one guy for his holiday." So I'm like, right, okay. So there's no stress, there's no pressure. We haven't got like a show date picked out, and they've started dieting, and the body's just responding.
Yeah, I
Like
know it's magic.
it's just responding so well without any sort of date set. And then we've kind of, as things have like started like getting a little bit like okay, like things are happening without us having to force anything. We've started having a look at some shows and putting potential dates in place that if we feel like we're ready without forcing it, we'll jump in. Um, and I think it's just resulting in a smoother prep, a less stress-free prep because they wasn't potentially going to compete this year. But if they're ready and it's not going to sort of disrupt any other plans leading into holidays or weddings and things like that, then we'll jump in. So yeah, I think sometimes some people need a right. I'm getting ready for this date, but some people I think respond better to just like a bit of a stress-free
Mm.
like prep setting. So yeah, it's definitely opened my eyes to how I will potentially do things with clients or Phoebe or myself in the future.
Yeah, I feel like as well, when you have done it for a multitude of years, again, we live and breathe bodybuilding, don't we? It's not easy, but we do it with ease because it's
Yeah,
it's so ingrained. So it's like whether I'm gonna, because I think probably there's people that are like, you're just doing a diet. And I'm like, I'm doing this for me. Like, I need to see if I've improved. As I say, I'm not stepping on stage looking worse or the
yeah,
same. So it's like, and I'm just loving it. I'm just, the days are clocking by. Whereas, as you've outlined there, sometimes with a prep, yes, we need a date, particularly at the start, you need to know what you're doing. But it's like, there's this sort of, okay, so I've got this many days to the show. I've got to get all of this organized. When realistically speaking, you can pretty much organize it quite quickly if you're good at
yeah,
that. And it takes that, like you say, stress off, and the days are just going, and I'm like, this is a vibe. Like I'm just
yeah,
living a bodybuilder, and it's really, and my physique has responded so much quicker, Nath. Like I'm like, I can't believe I'm only 5 weeks in. It's very surreal.
yeah, yeah, which is great. So it just shows, doesn't it? Like keeping a stress-free like having a stress-free environment is definitely the goal for a smooth prep.
Sure. And if any shit happens, we're like, oh, it's fine. Everything else is all right. Yeah. Now, you mentioned the word environment, and this is something, again, I feel is very, very important. And that extends to who you surround yourself with as well, right? Like,
Yeah,
if you're training with people, if you're spending time with people, if you're on social media following certain people, when we talk about, being in the pro league or even if you're aspiring to be a pro, how important would you say that is? Because I think it's very, very important, but I feel like we could probably talk about that, who you actually spend your time consuming.
Yeah, so I think environment for me is everything. I think over the last 2 or 3 years since winning my pro card, I think I realized how important those who you surround yourself with is. So my training partner, my close friends, who you tend to like the friends who I've grown up with, and not obviously the friends who I surround myself with on a daily basis. So and I still try to keep that like not separate, but like
Mm.
they know what I do, and I catch up with them when I need to catch up with them. But my close friends who I sort of surround myself with like on a daily basis or keep in touch with on a daily, weekly basis, I think those people are vitally important. Obviously, Phoebe, it goes without saying, but my training partner, Grant, the doctor, and then Oscar Young. I don't know if you know Oscar.
Mm, okay.
Um, Young 4040 on Instagram is a classic physique pro,
Okay.
but he like he's like a breath of fresh air, but he's like a prophet. Honestly, like, some of the quotes and sayings, yeah, honestly, he's like
Hmm.
he's amazing to have round. And I still have me, Jimmy, Jimmy Tonk, and Oscar. We have a catch up every Sunday. We have a Zoom call and just have a chat.
Love it.
And that sets me up for the week because we just have a chat about life and about training and about everything. It's just like it gives you a lot of clarity on life and everything and what's important. And yeah, he's that. So these people are very important to me. Obviously, I think your gym environment as well, being in a good environment with people in the gym and people who support you, like your sponsors and things like that. It's massively important. So yeah, I think having the right support network and the right environment is vital for progress, definitely.
For sure. I love you just mentioned sponsorship as well. I think we could probably talk a bit about that because in the bodybuilding space, you can sort of go through eras, can't you? Where it's like, I want to be sponsored. I don't know who to be sponsored by. I'm getting DM'd. I don't really know what to do. And I would always recommend you actually look at the company. You look at, what their ethos is. Try and actually almost do a bit of research first, potentially, and buy into the brand. I'm sure you'll agree.
Oh, 100%. Somebody's got you, it's difficult because I think a lot of people now, especially with social media, are probably doing the bodybuilding thing for the wrong reason. Like they're doing the bodybuilding thing to get a sponsor. Like when I started, like that was just nothing I even thought about. I do
I know.
bodybuilding. Do bodybuilding because I love bodybuilding. Like, and when somebody approaches you and you're like, "What? You want to give me supplements?" What? What? Like,
I don't
so
know.
it was, yeah. So it was just like that was quite surreal. And I had a very good experience initially when I first got sponsored. Shout out to Insight Subs who I was sponsored by initially. I had a very good relationship with the guys there. And then yeah, I had a bad experience with the sponsor. But I feel like I needed to experience that to realize what was important. So somebody came in and I was like, I'm not sure. And I don't want to say yes because I think it would be disrespectful of me and disloyal without me speaking to my current sponsors. Because somebody came in and offered me money, expenses, supplements, and I went and spoke to my previous sponsors and I had to think about it for quite a while. And then I ended up they were like, my sponsors at the time were like, go for it, like give it a shot. We're really like happy that you've come to us and explained like somebody's approach you, but we can't match that, and we think you'd be daft not going for this.
I love that.
Yeah, so I went for it, and it was the worst decision that I've ever made. But I needed to make that decision to realize that not everybody is what they say they are, and you don't align with their ethos and you don't align with sort of what they're about, and it was just yeah, I didn't. So as soon as I realised, within like 5 or 6 weeks, I was like, this is not for me. And I made a post publicly. This would have been back in 2020 or 2021. And I made a post publicly, and I didn't slate the company, but I just said, I'm no longer. I messaged the company. I said, look, this is not for me. Cancel my contract. I don't want to work with you. You don't align with my ethos or what I'm about. Like it's just I don't want to be associated with the brand. And then I made a post publicly, and I think it was the first time that anybody had probably done that. Not called them out as such, but just I said, look, I just want to make people aware that I'm no longer working with said brand. Um, I don't want to be associated with them. Uh, our values and as morals and as ethos, we just don't align, and it's just something that I don't want to be a part of or associated with. Um, and off the back of that, I must have had 4 or 5 companies contact me because I think they thought, do you know what? Like, he's not just done this for. Like, I could have taken the money and taken the supplements, but it's not what I was about. Which actually led me then to working with Jordan and Corin at Trained by JP, and I've been there 4 years now, and like, yeah, that's somewhere where I see myself. I can't see myself leaving. Like it's just a great brand to be involved with, and like I just like the values and just it's like a family, and yeah, it's just great to be a part of. And they support me. They've supported every decision that I've made. So yeah, that's something that I definitely learnt from, but it actually turned into a positive because I never thought that that's where I would end up at all. Because like you look at that brand and you're like, fucking hell, that's a massive brand. Yeah. But yeah, it ended up being a positive anyway.
Mm. I bet he's like, oh, you called someone out. Come on board.
Yeah,
I like this. I know when
yeah,
Sarah got her sponsorship confirmed with them, we were talking on a pod, and Romano was like, I know how much you've wanted that JP sponsorship for so long, and Sarah's, she just loves it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's awesome. So yeah, but I do feel like social media's created like a false.
It's like a
I just
delete.
yeah, people like they're getting in for the wrong reasons. Like, oh, I want to do this because I want to get sponsored. I'm like, no, I want to compete because I want to get sponsored. Like, you shouldn't be competing to get sponsored. Like, you should be competing for you because you love the process. And if those things come as a byproduct of your success and what you're putting into it, and it's almost like a business now, isn't it? Social media. And like people treat it like that. They don't just do it for the love of the sport, and as a byproduct you get rewarded. It's like I'm going to do it because I want this,
Mm.
which sometimes doesn't sit right with me, but I might be a little bit old school.
I'm the same. I get the ick. Especially when it's like, oh, if I get sponsored by X, and I know you'll know the brand I'm saying, I might get my pro card. I might get more chances in the sport, and it's a shame. Like the way I see certain things happening in the space, it truly takes away from bodybuilding and what it can bring. And oh, if I speak to that person, or if I'm coached by that person, or if I'm done this and sponsored by this, maybe I get more of a chance. And it's like, what happened to the true passion of excelling as a person and then showing that on stage? It's
Yeah,
hard.
it is, but that's the world that we live in, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a tricky one. Now, talk to me about your podcast because you mentioned the doctor, and I know that he does that with you, right?
Yeah, so he's my training partner. He's been my training partner since 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had some great training partners over the years, but he has been like my most constant recently. Um, and he started training with me in 2021. I actually asked him, said, "Do you want to get a session in?" We had a great session. I'm like, "Do you want to train with me?" He's like, "Are you asking me to be your training partner?"
Hey.
So yeah. So and he doesn't compete. He's got no desire to compete at all. but he just loves bodybuilding. He has done since he's like been 15, 16. He's 40 now, and he just loves to train and he loves the process and he just diets for himself. So he'll diet and he'll get absolutely shredded and people are like, are you competing? He's like, no, like, why are you this lean then? He's like, because I just want, this is what I want to do. And he's like, and he'll diet harder, as hard, if not harder than anybody I know. And he does everything like a bodybuilder. He just has no desire to even go to a bodybuilding show and watch it. Like, he's got no desire to step on stage. He just loves the process. Um, so yeah, and he pushes me. He was there for my off season before I won my pro card, with me winning my pro card, doing my pro debut off season, and yeah, we're still training partners now. So he's doing the podcast with me, and he is as straight down the line as you can get.
I
Like he does not mince his words, which is what I like. Like because you can have, like you say, you can have gaslighters and you can have people who tell you look great when you probably don't look great, and you're going to be ready when you're probably not where you need to be. And the reason I've stayed as close to him and we've built the relationship that we have is because he doesn't bullshit me. Like he's like, you're not posing enough after you've trained. You're not doing this. You don't look like you should look, or yeah, I think you need to push on, or yeah, you look good today, or you look a bit shit today. Like he just tells me how it is. So yeah, him, and Jimmy are doing the podcast, the Big Dog Cast, and we just wanted it to be just three lads having a chat about not just bodybuilding but life as well, what we've experienced. Not trying to make it too sciencey and baffle people with bullshit, and just try and bring a little bit more fun back into bodybuilding. So yeah, there's been a few topics on there already which have sparked some controversy, but yeah, it's been good. So we filmed one this morning, which has been good. We had his first guest on last episode, which is not actually out yet. It's out this Sunday. So yeah, we've done 5 episodes so far. So it's going well.
Yeah, it's a vibe. I was speaking to Jack the other day, and he was like, I was talking to him all in the gym, and it's so cool because it was like just what he wants from bodybuilding as well, moving to Derby and being around, people like yourself. So he was like, it's just such a
Yeah,
vibe,
yeah.
having.
I've been messaging Jack actually because he's just started his podcast. So when I go away on Tuesday, so I go away for a week, and we've been trying to get something lined up. So I said, once I'm back from holiday, we'll get a session in. I'll jump on the pod where we'll shoot the shit, and I'll be honest with you, I'm fucking nervous to
Oh,
to to train with him because he's a savage, he's young, and I don't want my ego to get the better of me and fucking end up snapping my shit. I'm like, oh God, I'm 30, I'm 37. He's like 24 or whatever. I'm like,
having the
I'm,
holiday first, mate. You can get.
yeah. So I need to get myself fresh. And I'm like, oh God. I shouldn't have come off cycle. I shouldn't have come off cycle.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sorry,
yeah,
Phoebe. We're gonna have to delay the.
yeah, we're gonna have to delay this because I'm training with Jack. Because I know like he's like an animal in the gym, and I'm like, I don't want to be like the old man not being able to keep up.
Yeah, I love it was nice to sort of hear that, the getting lost in hours of conversation sort of at the gym and just talking about just shooting the shit, like you say, probably similar to what you do in your podcast, just
Yeah,
to hear that. I really love, again, like we said right at the start when we introed it, finding good people in the space and just vibing and celebrating, like just the training, the eating, and what you're doing. And it's really, really fucking cool, but it can be quite hard to find. And I know people listening, I get this quite a lot. People say, how do you find your people? Like, how have you found this community of people? Because I can't seem to find that in the bodybuilding space. And I always say, it sounds boring, but being authentic to yourself and being true to yourself and being who you are on social media in real life also. Have you got any sort of tips and stuff? Because it's quite hard, isn't it, in this era?
it is, and I think yeah, just exactly what you've said. Just be yourself, be original, be yourself, and just be you, and you will find your people when when it's right. I do find that like I've been in places and I'm like, he's just trying a little bit too hard. Like he's a lovely guy, but he's just trying a little bit too hard. Just be yourself. Like don't try and force things, because it does come across when you do try and force it that you are trying too hard, which is great because people have got a lot of like energy and they sort of want to make themselves fit and yeah, it's you'll know like you'll find the right gym, you'll find the right group of people to train with, and it just happens naturally. I mean, luckily, I've got a couple of gyms that I train at where I feel like it's just home and it's like just easy. So, and the people there in both gyms that I train at, it's just like just feels just very natural. Like
Mm.
so, which is great. It's a great place to be a part of.
Mm. It's that self-worth and self-value as well. Again, as bodybuilders, you don't have to win a show to be a good body. Well, the example of the doctor,
Yeah,
and I love as well. I've got to say this when you said, he just does it and probably works harder than potentially a lot of people in the actual competitive space. And the saying, and this relates to the pro, the title today. I'll do whatever it takes, but behind closed doors, you don't. And again, it's like we've got to take ownership for. And I'm very set on my words, right? If I say something, if I said to you, right, Nath, I'm going to do this, I'd have to. I'd rather die than not do it because I've externalized. Again, you get caught out if you spouting stuff, and actually, it's better to just act, do the do, and I feel like that will translate into finding your people also.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, how many times have we seen it? People say things on social media, they're going to do this and they're going to do that, and they never even follow through with the prep.
Yeah.
Like, there's multiple people that I can think of that, hey, I'm bringing my best. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be this, and then 6 weeks out, oh, I've pulled prep because it's got hard or whatever it may be, and they never actually follow through with it. So I try not to. I try not to say too much because, like, yeah, I know myself. This is what I'm going to do, and I think the more if you're going to say it out loud, you've got to follow through with it. So yeah,
And another sort of thing within that, it's a bit of a tangent, but with regards to the nutrition setup, so for bodybuilding itself, generally speaking, we're looking at whole foods, we're looking at, the good foods, higher protein, etc., the normal basics.
yeah.
But what I see a lot of, and I certainly got caught in it probably for the first few seasons of sort of the diet hacks and trying to make it easier. I'd love to know your thought process on this.
Well, I've actually just said to a client today, I've cut one of his meals down to just a protein meal now, just protein and veg or protein and salad. So he sent me like, "Is this okay for my salad?" And I'm like, and it got like sweet corn and peppers and this and that, and I'm like, just chicken and veg. Just make it simple, and don't overcomplicate it because you're trying to bulk things out too much to just be hungry. Like, don't put fucking loads of sauce on it. Just just keep it simple. There's loads of people who try the diet hacks like artificial this and sweeteners and whatever it may be. I've never been about that. I've just been like, yeah, if you're hungry, just be fucking hungry. Like,
Lean
have
into
a have a yeah, lean into it. Like, have a black coffee and just drink a little bit more water. Like,
it.
what's wrong with that? I used to actually, fucking, I'm hungry. I used to go and do another walk.
Exactly that. Like it does. It's
I'm
it's
like,
certainly something that you
like,
can just
yeah, oh, I've got another hour and a half before I can eat again. I'm
feel like.
absolutely starving. Absolutely starving. What shall I do? Oh, put me on. I'm going to go for a walk around block. It passes another 25 minutes and I get some extra steps in. I know I'm getting leaner. Like it just crack on.
Yeah, it's like by the time as well, I don't know about you, but if you do like go and do some steps or you do some food prep and the washing up or just some general shit, you actually think, oh, I can eat now, and then you go, I think I'll allow another 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I've not gone hypo yet. I'm going to leave it a little bit longer. Yeah,
Sure, for sure. Obviously, if we're using certain compounds and stuff, there is a little bit more of a risk per se. But I do feel like, generally speaking, leaning into it, you actually build the mindset in different ways. And I think sometimes maybe people are a bit scared to just, you're a little bit hungry. It's okay. You are
yeah,
in a prep. You're in a prep for an extreme result.
yeah. It
Yeah.
takes extreme measures sometimes. Like hunger's good. Like yeah, like it's not a bad thing.
I love
Oh
it. When I spoke to Josh the other day, he was like, I'm just maintenance or maybe just above. I'm hungry all the time, but it's quite good.
yeah, yeah. Well, I've literally just brought my food down a little bit this week, and I was like, just as we got, I'm hungry today. Like just because I just brought my food down, I'm like, but that's actually quite nice. Like it's nice being hungry. I'm looking now like, hey, I'm hungry again. I'm ready to eat, but
Nice.
that's that's actually a nice feeling. So
And the
yeah,
appreciation of the, you sort of sit down and you go, I've got a nice meal, eat it a bit slower and just
yeah.
enjoy it. Right.
Yeah, or either scoffing it or other end of the spectrum thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to eat again." Yeah,
Sure. On that note, before we wrap up, I have to get your side of the story with the eating challenge with Josh because he's been on the pod. It's going to go live before this one, and he gave his. He said, "What did he say? You're a god or something." About it. I can't remember the exact word, but he was just like, "Naif." He fucking smashed it.
do you know what? It was, but I think both of his competitive side came out,
Yeah.
but I don't think we were. Do you know what? I think Josh would have done it if it have. I don't think his tactics let him down.
Yeah, that's what he said.
His tactics let him down. He saved the worst things till the end when they'd gone cold, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if I'd have done it the same way that Josh should have done it. I think I'd have been ready to vomit. So I made sure that I got all the shitty stuff out of the way first, what I didn't enjoy, which probably left me not enjoying the actual breakfast as much, but I was able to get it down. It was honestly it was awful. For the first 10 minutes, it was quite nice because it was like the quality of the food was really good, but then it very quickly became just rough.
What, like the stomach, or were you like sweating? What was the?
Do you know what? We didn't sweat too much, but we did have the window open behind us. But it was just I think it was the fat content because it was like a fry up.
Yeah.
It was so heavy and like you get that flavor fatigue. It was just oh God, yeah, it was rough. I was in a bad way, like I was in a bad way for the rest of the evening. So I fasted up until I think we started eating probably about 12:30, 1 o'clock. So I'd fasted, I'd got up, I'd done my cardio, I was fucking ready to eat. We're both ready to eat. I think Josh had a shake and maybe some nuts
Yeah.
just to put him on because he was hungry as well. But I didn't eat, so I ate that at like 1, and then I didn't eat again until the following day. Like I got home, I was in a bad way, and I'm like, I need to go to bed. And I just went to bed and just slept it off. My guts were not in a good way. I think people underestimated how big it was. Like, 'cause it probably didn't look as big as what it was. It was massive. Like the volume of food was absolutely massive. And I think I like tried to calculate it on my fitness pal of round about roughly what it was. What it was. It was like over 10,000 calories in one sitting.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought I'm not losing. I'm not losing. But I went for like the black pudding, the tomatoes, and the mushrooms first.
Mm.
Because you can imagine like cold black pudding, cold tomatoes, because they weren't chopped, they weren't like tinned tomatoes. There was like fresh, like fried tomatoes, and I think there was like four massive beef tomatoes, like chopped into like four. And the mushrooms were like garlic confit mushrooms, and the bowl was like it was like this deep. There must have been like 2 packs of mushrooms.
That's what Josh said. He was like, the bowl was massive, and I hate mushrooms.
Yeah, it was massive, and I'm not a fan myself, but I thought if I don't get these down, there's not a chance in hell that I'm going to eat them when I'm full. So I'll be like,
With the
so
garlic as
yeah,
well.
yeah, the garlic as well. So I just made sure that I got the tomatoes, the mushrooms, and the black pudding out of the way to start off with, and then it did, and I just got that down as fast. I burnt my tongue as well, trying to get it down as fast as I could.
Oh, oh
Yeah.
no.
So I just literally nailed them, and then it made it a little bit easier. And I think rubbing salt in the wound. I asked for some, so I left my some of my toast to the end, and I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be difficult now because the toast had gone cold and it was like gone
Oh,
hot. So I was like, can I have some jam? And they were
yes.
like, what? You asking for more? Like, I need some jam to get this toast down. So I did like 2 pots of jam, like just getting the toast down at the end. It was actually all right.
Legends.
Yeah.
Josh,
So
Josh said the sausages were like the size of his forearm.
yeah, they were massive, and the black pudding and the sausages they were massive. So I think it was the volume of fat. I think I put it in. I can't remember, but it was something daft, like 500 grams of fat, which would have been like 4,500 calories just in fat. From like fried eggs, bacon, black pudding, sausages, hash brown. There was toast with butter. Oh yeah, it was rough. Tater tots. There were a massive bowl of like tater tots, like fried hash browns. It was. I've not had a fry up since.
No, no.
Like, well, I don't really have anything like that anyway. But yeah, it's definitely something that I wouldn't want to revisit. That's a box that I've ticked, and it's. I think we was all up for like doing like a challenge every month, and we've definitely not wanted to do one since.
That's what
So
Josh said. He was like, me and Nath after were like, so yeah, I don't think we'll talk about the next one. And then he was like, I obviously he's retired. He's like, I'm retiring. Nath's doing the off season. He's, doing it all properly, etc. And I don't want to pressurize. But then he was like, we will have to do one because I cannot lose. Like I can't go to the death. Knowing that I haven't won one. So I was like, well, maybe next 4 or 5 years, Josh, it's fine.
well, do you know what? Now I'm in this phase, and I'm coming down a little bit. We could probably revisit it and do another one. So I'll let him. I think he picked this one, so I might pick. We did have a burger one potentially set up, and then maybe like a donut or pancake one set up. But so we'll see.
You got to
See.
get to practice. You'll have to watch like Beard Meets Foods and stuff and see what order he does shit.
Yeah, well, that I did. That's what my tactic were. I did watch. It was Leah Shutkiva. I watched how she tackled that breakfast, and I'm like, right, yeah, she's got the right idea. I'm going to go for the stuff that I don't enjoy the most first. But yeah, it was rough.
Oh, wild, wild. We got to do these things to learn, as we've said throughout the whole pod. Now, of course, if people have listened and they'd like to speak to you about coaching or anything in the episode, I know you're very good with, answering questions. If someone wanted to DM you or whatever, is
Yeah,
Instagram generally the best place?
yeah. Just find me a message on Instagram, and then in my bio, there's like a link to loads of information on there, whether it be coaching or YouTube or whatever it may be. Yeah. So anybody who wants to reach out and just fire a question, I'm always open to answering questions as and when.
Thank you. Of course, you're gonna release your pod, but it might be that even the fertility protocol and stuff, obviously it's gonna be individual, but I've only spoken about it a couple of times over the years, so again, it might be something of interest. So thank you, of course, for sharing that part as well, because it's nice to just talk about these things in real life and help the listeners.
Exactly.
So, yeah, thank you, my G.
No problem at all, mate. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, and you will be back on. Let's face
I'll
it.
be back on. Yeah, I'll be back on.
Love it, and I hope you survive your training with Jack.
Fingers crossed.
I
Wish
look
me luck.
forward to this. Love it. Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.
Bye.